Hello world, hello everybody. We're going to read a poem. This is a poem called Stormwatch. It's by Thomas Mitchell. I found this poem online, and so I will provide a link to it below or somewhere, and you can look at it yourself if you like. Stormwatch by Thomas Mitchell. I think that there's a storm coming in. Wind blowing from the south, leaves rattling on the sumac as the morning gathers restlessly in my backyard. A pair of Stellar's jays visit the pyracantha bushes 3 feet from my window. Soon they grow tipsy from the fermented orange berries. With me, it's vodka. I know there needs to be a change. I'm hoping to be surprised tomorrow by I don't know what. Not by the new moon that everyone believes will bring hope, that tilts ever so slightly towards Jupiter, bathing in its own lustrous light, and not by my own fear, which comes and goes sometimes with Mozart's music, or more likely, Leonard Cohen's singing So Long, Marianne. What could it be, this change, but to awaken to sunlight dancing on the window shade and to understand that the ways of the world are no more complicated than a shift in the wind? It's beginning to rain, and the stellar jays lift their wings, then fly away. Stormwatch by Thomas Mitchell. I want to say a couple things about this poem, which is an excellent work. First thing, this poem is one stanza long. And the lines, it's all free verse, the lines are very, very long. I looked, there's no rhyme scheme. It seems that the syllable count in the lines vary. 15, 18, 16, kind of all over the map, kind of in that general area. The last line is 3 words long. And there's lots of enjambments. The lines don't end with sentences, with the periods or other punctuation. They just kind of roll one into the next. Thomas Mitchell uses uses several terms that might be unfamiliar. And just kind of realize that he is writing, I imagine, looking at the content of this poem, from his home in Southern Oregon, which can be quite stormy. The first thing that came across my eye, I knew I had to look up, is sumac. Sumac. It's a shrub. You can find it in Oregon, common enough in Eastern Oregon. Out on the coast, however, the most common type of sumac you might find would be poison oak. And then a stellar jay. It's a blue jay. It's a regular blue jay. If you're out in your backyard in North America, you might see a blue jay. They're common enough, kind of everywhere. Pyracantha bushes, however, are not native to North America. They are in California, they are considered invasive. They have a red, I want to call them a berry, but they're not a berry, it's a palm. And the outside, the palm, the fruit part of it, you can eat. But if you eat the seeds, it's poisonous. It could kill you. Something that I'm not really kind of into is the whole idea about like the new moon and the moon and in conjunction with Jupiter, kind of a astrological kind of take. So I'd look that up. New moon equals, new beginnings. And I think that he makes it pretty clear here. New moons with Jupiter would be optimism, optimistic beginnings, and kind of like choosing wisdom over impulse, that kind of thing. And then I know who Mozart is. I'm not very familiar with the song So Long Marianne by Leonard Cohen, but I did listen to it, looked it up a little bit. It's a poem. It was a song that was written to a woman who had left her husband that Leonard Cohen had a relationship with, and he said at the time that he didn't think it was a breakup song, but after he wrote it and sang it, they broke up. So he thinks maybe it was. So I wanted to say a couple things about this poem. Thomas Mitchell is being pretty straightforward here. This is a poem about change. He says it a couple times. He says, not only with the metaphor of a storm coming in, but he says, I know there needs to be a change. And then kind of later on, kind of towards the end, what could it be, this change? So this is a poem that is, at its heart, about change. The thing that he's being a little bit coy about, or maybe a little bit ambivalent about, is this change going to be a good change or a bad change? Well, he might be tipping his hand a little bit by calling the poem Stormwatch, and of course, storm isn't necessarily considered a positive thing to happen. There's so many different kind of ambivalent things in this poem that could lead you either way, right? Start with sumac. Could be a shrub, could be a poison oak. Then you go to pyracantha. Could be an invasive plant, could just be landscaping. Could be something that you can eat. Also, it could be poison. Mozart, not necessarily known for being a downer. Or So Long Marianne, which is basically a breakup song. So there's a little bit of kind of talking, give and take about, if this is going to be a good change or a bad change. This poem has a question towards the end that I think is illustrative. And like the lines in this poem, this is a very long question, and it goes on for quite some time. It starts on the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line from the bottom. What could it be, this change, but to awaken to sunlight dancing on the window shade, and to understand that the ways of the world are no more complicated than a shift in the wind? ? Well, he answers the question in the next line. It's beginning to rain, and the stellar jays lift their wings, then fly away. So that's the last line, then fly away. So I would say this. It's called Stormwatch. A storm is coming in. These two stellar jays, there's two stellar jays there, they stick together, by the way, these stellar jays. They stick together, they get drunk on pyracantha berries or palms. When the rain starts, they lift their wings, then fly away. So, initially when I read this, I thought, okay, this is kind of, maybe this is like a breakup poem. Maybe this is something else. Maybe this is something that is, you know, like two people are having this deal. It could be a storm, it could be a fight, and there's a blah, blah. I don't think it's that. I think it's something else, which is we have these things throughout the poem which are both harmful and harmless at the same time. And when the storm starts, when the rain comes in, these two blue jays, stellar jays, get their wings and fly off, presumably to find shelter. So I don't think that it's about a relationship. Or if it's about a relationship, it's about sticking together in hard times, maybe. That's kind of what I'm thinking about. That's the way I'm thinking about it, at least, at this moment. If you're going to workshop a poem like this, what I would try to do is maybe include a song title in the poem. That would be kind of like a challenge. Writing a poem and then putting a song title in there as part of it. Yeah. Anyway, great poem by Thomas Mitchell, Stormwatch. We'll see you next time.